is it worth buying a Performante coupe or spider right now? Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exotic car hacks video. Today we're going to analyze the Performante market and is it worth buying a Performante coupe or spider right now. Now you may have known that I have now had two Performante spider and two Performantes, one spider, one coupe, and behind me is now my third Performante, which is also a spider with a $378,000 MSRP. It makes it one of the highest spec spiders of all time. So the question is, should you be buying a Performante spider used with so many things happening in the market? Well, since the inception of the Performante, Lamborghini announced that the SVJ was going to continue one more year of production. It announced that the Evo has come out. It has announced the Evo rear-wheel drive, which orders are now pending for. And it has also announced that it was going to make limited productions of the STO, which is basically the Performante Super Trofeo. So if you have never thought of buying a Performante, well, now pricing has come down significantly and you might be rethinking, well, I can kind of now afford a Performante because they've dropped over $100,000. So how much does it really cost to own a Performante? And really, is this the right time to be buying one? How much more can the market fall? So in order to understand where the Performante is going, we got to kind of understand where the Huracan market is going. So you see, for the longest time, the Huracan market was one of the best resale value exotic of all time. It originally dropped about $70,000 to $80,000 below sticker and has been stuck there literally for the last 4 years, which was a pretty incredible thing to see a car year after year literally move down and up only $5,000. The Huracan has single-handedly made the Lamborghini brand a better investment than the Ferrari brand. Now, in addition to that, something else that was pretty incredible for Lamborghini was the launch of the Urus. With the launch of the Urus, now basically they've created one of the best-selling exotic of all time, regardless of it's an SUV or not. The amount of units sold is just staggering. So where and how are Lamborghini values adding up now? Well, the Huracan market has recently dropped to 160 from 180K for a 15 used in pretty decent shape with 10,000 miles. So what that means is that now the market has come about 20 to 25K lower than it was. In context to what we're talking about, it's about a 10% drop recently. And in order to understand why, let's understand what happened to the Evo. When the Evo first came out, it had a sticker price almost higher, if not in many cases very close, to a Performante sticker price. So many people who had a Performante, you would have think, would go to the Evo, but that wasn't the case. Many people over in the Huracan were supposed to go to Evo, but again, the price point had kept them from going to a Performante. So why would they now go to a lesser car, technically, not a special, for the same dollar? And whenever there isn't a demand for a car, what happens is price must come down. Over $50,000 off Evos was pretty much offered on a brand new car, which means that you could now buy almost a brand new Evo Huracan for basically 250 to 240K. And in some cases, it was going to keep coming down past that. So you start thinking, okay, we had Huracans in the 2s, in the 180s, and now we have these brand new cars that are 4 years newer, better technology, cool screens inside, all this stuff. And honestly, it drives a lot better with the all-wheel steering. So you have all of that, and you're talking now only 40K more? Well, it's not really making a difference or preventing someone from buying one. So what ended up happening is the Performante market ended up taking a dip as a result. And the Perf market came right around the 270 to 300K mark. So pretty much offering 50, similar to the Evo, off of MSRP. Now, one of the things that completely changed the landscape of the Huracan market was basically the rear-wheel drive. You see, rear-wheel drive cars have been around for a long time. We saw them back in the LP days with the 550, and we understand that the Balboni cars previous to that and the pre-LP level Gallardos also were there. But one of the big things that happened with the rear-wheel drive is that usually when we look at the 580 versus the 610 in the Huracan market, the 580 just didn't look the part. It didn't look as good. It wasn't as good of a product, right? It wasn't as good of a product as the all-wheel drive. So what that meant, or what occurred as a result of that, was basically that if you understood that you could buy a rear-wheel drive car, you understood it was more fun, but you also understood it wasn't as appealing, and there wasn't as much of a demographic. But then came the Evo rear-wheel drive, which was better looking, better driving, better seats, which the previous like race seats that were available in the Huracan were atrocious, but in the Evo they're amazing. And all of the display, but now here's the crazy part. I ordered 2 Evo rear-wheel drives and both of them fully spec'd, came down to $250 to $260K. This is all spec'd, and I mean, I went apeshit on all the options and everything, which means that you could technically buy a really well-loaded Evo somewhere, and this is a rear-wheel drive, somewhere in the low 2s, like 220. So you got to start asking yourself, would you rather have a 2020 beautiful, best-looking Huracan ever with the best interior and everything else for 220, or a used Huracan for 15 for 200? So obviously, the market on the Huracan was bound to crash when this announcement was made, and it did. And it's expected to go all the way down to the basically 140 range. This brings us to our next argument, which is basically the Performante and Performante Spider. The Performante is still the most iconic and, in my opinion, the best Lamborghini ever built. Better than the SVJ, better than the Huracan, better than the other car. Now, there's 3 basic factors to that: craftsmanship, experience, and speed. It's incredibly fast, it's incredibly well built, and most importantly, it creates the best Lamborghini experience I've ever experienced. Now, this is coming from a guy who's owned just about all levels of Lamborghini, from Murcielago to LP640, 670, to a first-gen SV, to now this, to many Performantes, Huracans, and everything else. And this is also coming from a guy who said that the Huracan base model was the worst and most crappy Lamborghini ever made because the craftsmanship was just shit. So now with the Performante, if you can watch my other reviews, you'll know basically what I'm talking about. But the point here is that what we're going to see in the Performante market is we're going to see these cars starting to trend around the 220 to 240K range this year. We're going to see this drop, and it's going to stick. And then what's going to happen is they're going to trend around the 200K mark. So expect low mileage units in their entirety in the next 2-3 years to still remain at the 200K mark. Unless there's some massive long-term economic adjustment, we could see that process speed up by about a year instead of 2-3 years, taking basically a year and a half to get there. But we are going to see this drop, and it is going to create probably the best opportunity to buy one of the best Lamborghinis in the world for just around 200K. So should you buy a Performante right now? Well, it depends on how addicted you are and if you can or cannot wait. If you're asking me basically if the Performante is the right car to buy, then the answer is absolutely. If you're asking me if it's better than the Evo, the answer is absolutely. If you're asking me if it's better value than the Evo, the answer is absolutely. But if you're asking me if you can hack one without losing any money, well, you can only do so in the short term. Any hack over 12 months at this point would be an incredibly high risk for a car that has a moving depreciation schedule based on time, no longer based on basically spec or options, but time in itself. And whenever we have a weird economic climate like the one we're in, this time could be sped up and it could cause you some losses. So otherwise, you should absolutely buy a Performante Spider. But remember, if you really want to hit it in the right time, you got to learn how to hack it, which means you should wait till it drops a little bit further. So this has been a basic update. Again, if you want to learn how to use exotic car hacks to no longer lease or buy cars, but hack them so you don't have to lose any money, all you have to do is click the link in this video and take my free 90-minute training where I'm going to teach you what car hacking is and why it's the hottest thing of 2020 and how to get in an exotic car. So you don't need any of your money, no money down, and could actually be driving an exotic as low as $400 a month. If you want to learn how, click the link, take the training, and thanks again for watching. But don't forget, subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and I'll catch you on the next video.